Well, we actually have a quorum, but it is unable to communicate with us.
Sorry, everybody, we're having some last minute issues, so bear with us. Try again.
Commissioner Richardson, are you here?
I'm here.
Boyd, are you here? Commissioner Robinson, are you here? Commissioner Hamilton, are you here?
Bob, can you unmute the desktop?
There you go. Okay, how about now? David, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
There you go. Mr. Colleen, can you hear me okay?
I can, yeah. Hi, Bob.
Awesome. Yeah, exciting times.
Okay, present. Cal, Allen, Hammer, Colleen, Ryan, Richardson. To the quorum commissioners, take a look at your. Has anybody read the minutes from the last meeting?
Yes,
And have you got a motion regarding it?
I move to approve those minutes. Second.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the minutes of September 25th, 2023. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Commissioners, take a look at the agenda. Does anybody need to recuse themselves from discussion of any of these items? Hearing no recusals. Commissioners, taking a look at the agenda. Is this the order that we want to hear things in? And this will be our agenda. Let's start with agenda item A.
Okay, first up, we have a park project. The folks at the zoo are doing, sorry, move you advance here. So the folks at the zoo are doing some work at the herpetarium in the rear of the property. Next. So just some context real quick for you where that's located. It's just inside the kind of the main entrance to the right. I've highlighted there in the circle. Next. The work in question is at the rear of the property. This area is not really accessed by the public on the outside. The project entails reglazing or installing new glass and the back solarium. They're also going to do a new habitat. Can you go next? So they're going to do new glass. They're going to do a new habitat inside, and then also HVAC upgrades. Next. And this is a picture of the proposed future interior habitat work. Next. And so again, it's a pretty straightforward project. It's in a park. We have to get to you guys for approval. But again, it's pretty minimal in terms of impact to the public. You can't see much of it from inside or outside the park itself. So we recommend approval.
Is this the one with the basketball hoops?
This is not one with basketball hoops. No, this is a different one entirely.
Commissioners, I believe the zoo is present if we have questions for them. If not, Commissioner Allen, I'd like a motion.
All right. Well,
Screen
then I
share.
move that the Preservation Board approve the application to repair the existing solarium, install a new interior animal habitat, and upgrade the HVAC system at the herpetarium.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Barb, did you catch the second?
Yep, David Richardson.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Allen, you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammaker, you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Colleen, you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Alderman Ryan, you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, you vote yes or no?
Yes.
The chair abstains on this vote. There are 5 yeses, 1 abstention. The motion carries. Congratulations. Okay, commissioners, looking down our agenda, moving to agenda item B. It begins appeals and director's denials. So I will ask staff to introduce anything they want into the record to build a record. I'd ask appellants to do the same. I'd ask staff, appellants, and those who testify to affirm the
Before we start, can Mr. Colleen or Richardson, can you verify what you can see on your screen? Can you see the presentation?
Yes, I can.
Awesome, thank you. You all set?
Where's Meg? Meg, you have any announcements about people testifying and stuff like that?
If there are people in the Zoom room who want to speak, please send your chats to the Send Chats Here window. We will call on you when we get to your agenda item. Please specify the address and please put your full name, first and last name.
Okay, let's do agenda item B.
Bob Bettis with staff. I swear to tell the truth. I need to enter in the enabling ordinance 64689 as amended by 64925, the Fox Park ordinance, which is 66098, my PowerPoint and my presentation. And I swear to tell the truth.
Proceed.
Andy? Sorry.
Sorry, just switch back.
One second. I'll start to talk real quick. The property is 1911 California. It's in the Fox Park Local Historic District. Some quick background. Recently in July, an inspector alerted us to the installation of retaining walls in the front yard of a property without permits. As you can see on your screen here we go. In Fox Park, you need a permit from us to install retaining walls in the front yard, especially if it's been unaltered previously. So required work. I talked to the applicant, had her come down to apply for a permit. She expressed an interest to retain what she has constructed. I gave her options about, potentially doing a historic wall, but she's invested a lot of time and money, and so she wants to try and keep what was constructed. So this is what has been built. Next. This is some context for you. This kind of south of 44. It's on the west side of California. Next. Here's some context. Across the street, an empty lot. To the south of the property, there are several existing historic kind of poured concrete retaining walls. Next. And it's looking north. To the north on the west side, next to the applicant's house, there are a few modern retaining walls that did not get permits. Not sure when they were installed, but they were unpermitted from us as well, but they were older. So grandfathered in. Next. Here is a before and after shot of the property. So you see, it was honestly the last unaltered slope on the street. So it's quite the difference, the work that was completed. Next. Up top is a copy of the applicant's planting plan. You got a copy of that. That was given to you as well. And down below is a detail of what's constructed. It's a red Versalock wall. Next. Again, here's some, those are the non-compliant walls to the north. Next. And here's a context showing across the street, as well as the adjacent kind of historic poured concrete wall to the left. Next. And this is it. So essentially what the ordinance says is you can't install retaining walls in an unaltered slope. And if you were to, it required to be based on a historic example, which means like a natural stone wall of some sort, and base it on a historic wall and replicate that. So you can't do an artificial wall like she's done with the stone or the artificial concrete. And obviously the design itself, this 3-tiered wall system, is not based on a model example. So we cannot recommend approval for this. We have a letter from Fox Park. They also support staff's denial of the project. So we recommend that the board uphold the denial. Any questions?
Commissioners, questions?
No.
Ms. Allen?
The swap ops will be sitting here as well, unfortunately.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Tell us your name.
Linda Allen.
Is your testimony going to be the truth?
Sorry?
Will your testimony be the truth?
Yes.
Okay. And is there anything you'd like to introduce for the record?
No, I think everything's included there. I was just gonna ask if you would mind speaking a little bit louder because I have a hearing loss.
How's this?
Perfect.
Okay. What would you like us to do?
Well, I was hoping to get a variance. I guess, I guess I'd first like to say that I apologize for not getting the permit. That was completely my fault. I moved here from a very small town, which actually has 1,200 residents.
And
We
it's
don't,
really pretty.
yes, it is very pretty up on the bluff. But, you know, very different than the city. That was the first home I ever built, I ever owned. I bought it myself. I lived there by myself for 21 years. It's always been a dream to own a home in the city. I bought this home in March. I just never considered that you would have to, you know, worry about having, you know, you couldn't alter the slope of the yard. And just, you know, looking at, you know, the retaining walls and the materials that were used, you know, in the neighborhood. I just, you know, I just assumed that that was fine. And I what would say other than I, you know, just didn't know. Had I known, I would have certainly applied for a permit. If I take it down, I did have lighting installed in there for safety, just to illuminate the front of my home. I also had an irrigation system installed just to, you know, keep it low maintenance in that. And, you know, the grass was brown when I had bought it. And so I'd hope to do that. You know, I did it simply, you know, because it was something I really wanted to, you know, beautify the front of my yard. When I put it, I hired the landscape designer, which you saw the plans. He drew the plans for me. He worked for a nursery. He really didn't, you know, he basically said, he picked out all the plants and everything. And I think you were given a, you know, all of that. It was designed to cover, you know, I think eventually once it matures, it should, you know, it will creep over and cover the tiers. He told me to take them to a landscape company, which I did, who, you know, did all the planting, irrigation, and everything like that. I have had nothing but, you know, my neighbors come over and say that it looked, you know, very, very nice, and they really liked it. I haven't had any complaints. I you know, thought by doing that would also, you know, improve the value of my property, and in turn everyone else's, you know, in the area. And like the color matches the exterior of the, you know, home. And like I said, when I think when the plants grow in, that they cover the wall. There isn't an easy solution to change its appearance without, you know, completely taking it down, and then I'm going to have the trenches in that. So, and you know, that's going to be just extremely cost prohibitive to do that. And so, I guess for those reasons, I'm asking for a variance so that I could keep it.
So if I understand your testimony, you're asking us for variance on grounds of economic hardship. So we have the discretion to offer a variance, but we need to have a reason why. What reason would you like us to use?
I suppose it improves the area.
So Barb points out, when you say that it would be cost prohibitive, could you spell that out a little bit?
Well, I think what I would have to, if I had to have those removed, I would have to have somebody, I'd have to replace it with bricks, so I would have the materials cost as well. I'd have to have somebody come in and, you know, take it down, you know, by each one, and then somehow replace it. Because
What did it cost to do it?
I had a total, the entire cost of the entire project, including the backyard, was 20,000.
And what would it cost to take it out?
I did not get any bids or anything like that, but if I had to estimate, I would say it would probably be around 6,000 with labor.
Commissioners, questions? Commissioners online, questions?
Bob, there's not like a compromise where we let the front retaining wall stay, but remove the two other terraces?
Is it to me? Sorry.
Yes.
I-
Want to use my mic?
Yeah, where should I go? That's a good question. Where should I ask?
Okay.
I mean, we can't really offer a compromise that would be compliance. If there were to be a new wall proposed that, was faced in natural stone, that would look like a historic stone wall, remove the other two at the top of the terrace, there's a possibility that would meet the code, but it would require modification of at least one of the walls to meet the material requirement and the design requirement.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
For the record, I note the presence of Commissioner Anthony Robinson now. Further questions?
Roll call. Yes.
You
Roll call.
have a check mark or next?
Okay. You mentioned something about the plants falling over the walls. I can see that that's definitely the case on the middle wall. Is that the plan for all 3 walls?
It has it on the, middle 2 walls. I have something at the very bottom. It's called, Jenny, it's a purple flower and it does, but it's not mature yet. But I would be willing to plant, that so it does cascade and cover the walls. I'm more than happy to do that.
She did submit, what the plan will look like, I didn't know about it, just tell me to you extra copies. There's no rush there, but everybody's around it.
Questions, commissioners? Gilbert? Since you're looking like that, at those purple plants. Yeah.
I'm gonna teach the landscape architecture program. I'm also an Allen, so this might be an appropriate one. Regretfully will move that until we uphold the directors tonight. You all do not meet the class card standards.
Is there a second?
Richardson, second.
Is there discussion?
I don't think we have a reason to grant a variance here.
Discussion? Okay, commissioners, I'm gonna call a roll. Motion is to uphold the director's denial. Commissioner Allen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammer, do you vote yes or no?
No.
Commissioner Perrine, do you vote yes or no?
Was that to me? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Yes, ma'am.
I vote yes.
Alderman Ryan, do you vote yes or no? Commissioner Richardson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Chair abstains on this vote. There are 3 yeses. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Robinson. Is there another discussion?
No, I'll let you.
Are you voting no or saying aye?
Yes.
There are 3 yeses, 2 noes, and 2 abstention. The motion carries. And item C.
Okay, Bob Bettis with staff, will tell the truth still. Need to enter in the enabling ordinance again, 64689, as amended by 64925. This is in Skinker to Bolivar, so I need to enter in the enabling ordinance 57688, as amended by 70821. I'll tell the truth. Okay, so this is 6182 Westminster. This is the building in question. The work, you go back, I'm sorry. The work in question will be on the front porch and the handrails specifically, and also the small run handrail and the front terrace. Next, just a quick location. We're just to the east of Skinker. It's on the south side of the street, very obviously intact row of houses on Westminster. Next. There's some street level context. Obviously, it's a mix of mostly frame porches. There are some masonry porches mixed in, but it's a pretty intact lot. Next. This is looking towards Skinker. Next. Okay, this is the current condition. Some quick background. Back in July, the area building inspector stopped the installation of metal handrails on this porch. That work would require obviously a permit from our office, but also a building permit because it's a handrail on a porch. Got a hold of the owner. They've applied for a permit. I spoke with the contractor. They've already made the metal handrails, but they were being put in. They removed them and put back the current wood handrails. And so this what you see right now is the current condition. Next. I want to note, it's kind of hard to see with the lights kind of blurred out, but you can see the actually historic handrails were much shorter and a little more decorative than the existing current handrail system. The current handrails are newer and modern. They're not historic in any way. They probably meet current building code for height, but they do not look like the original handrail system. That is the old engaged column that was or post was on the wall. Next. Sorry, one second. Take your time, it's okay. Okay, so this is what the inspector saw when he went out. It's a black metal handrail system. It's the same height and roughly the same design, with the exception of the bottom rail has the posts are notched into the bottom rail as opposed to being hammered to the side, balusters, excuse me. So as you can see, the handrail itself does not attach to the column on the porch, but it will attach to the wall. So this is what's there, already proposed. Next. The handrails on the steps, this is what were sent to me by the contractor, but I can't give you a sense of what's going on. On the left is the bottom of the steps, and they'll be driven into the earth. That's the lower portion. At the top of the handrail system, it will not be attached to the column either. It'll be kind of like this little circular portion that kind of hovers just next to the column itself. It'll be a post at the top of the stairs. So the new posts do not actually touch the historic columns, which is a benefit. Next. That's the drawing on the left. Again, it's kind of washed out. I apologize for that. But again, on the left is the proposed handrail, what we see with the permit submission, and on the right is the current condition. As you can see, the current handles are actually attached to the columns. Next. And in the yard, the proposal is to do a metal handrail system as well there. What's there now, obviously, is just a temporary solution just to allow for some safety. But it's the same thing as a black metal handrail system as well on those steps. Next. So what the code says in Skinker Bolivar is you can't mix materials. If you have a wood porch, it needs to be wood handrail system. So the proposal to do a metal handrail system is not compliant with the code. That's pretty much what this boils down to. The design's modern, doesn't really meet the standards in the code. So, we can't approve at this level. You have a letter from the alderperson who's in support of it. I have talked to the neighborhood. They are also in support. We have a letter, but they are in support of the project as well. But staff recommends that the board pull denial as the proposal does not meet the standards. Any questions for me?
Yeah, Bob, what is the Skinker Developer Historic District Review Committee's reason for supporting this?
They felt that the owner had already done an investment monetarily for the project. They thought that it's one of those things where it's unfortunate, but they're using it as a learning opportunity, as with my discussion with the chair of that committee. So.
Hey, Bob, Mike here. So just to clarify, did they try to tackle this without a permit?
Yeah, it started without a permit. I talked to Mr. Gately, I believe he might be here as well. He's not a local contractor in the city, so he was unaware of needing a permit for the work. He claims ignorance. I totally understand that it happens sometimes, but he did start without a permit.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Richardson, so you said the existing handrail or railings also are not compliant?
Well, they're not original. I mean, they're not. I mean, had they been proposed today, we probably couldn't have approved them either because of the design. Let's go back to one of the other pictures real quick, if possible. Sorry. Yeah, they're more of a modern handrail system where the balusters are kind of tacked to the side of the bottom rail versus being notched as you would see historically. So this, it was obviously grandfathered in at some point in time, but it's, you know, it's a modern handrail system. And it's not compliant, but it was there and existing, so it could stay.
Well, does the existing system offend you less than the proposed system?
Well, it meets the code in terms of materials. Again, you can't mix the materials. So aesthetically, yeah, it's not great, but I mean, it does meet the code in terms of material usage.
Got it. Okay, and then are you weighing in on the railing for the little steps, the front steps?
Yeah, we're also seeing it's not compliant as well. We're seeing that as part of the entire project. We're seeing it's also not compliant as well.
And is that a different section of the code, or you're just kind of lumping it in this porches, entrances, and doors section?
Yeah, we also mentioned that in the section,
Section existing buildings general?
yes.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Commissioners, further questions? Did we tell the appellants that we were considering not only porch handrails, but also those steps?
Forgive me if it was not said expressly, I don't remember offhand. This has been going on since July, so if it was omitted, that was my error. In the discussion.
Okay, the Lloyd's are present. Come up, please. Good afternoon. Thank you for your patience. The reason it's so hot in here is that they brought lizards and snakes.
Okay. Thank you for, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for
What would you
hearing
like?
us.
Well, first of all, tell us who you are.
I am Carol Lloyd, 6182 Westminster Place.
I'm Kim. Is your testimony going to be the truth? Yes. Proceed. What would you like us to do?
I would like for you to give us approval to proceed with the plans as we have started. As he said, we have approval from Skingy Bolivar Association as well as our elected official. We were not aware that we need to get the permit in ahead of time. That was strictly an oversight, nothing we were trying to do underhandedly. It was strictly an oversight on our part, as well as our contractor who is happened to be here with us. We are both senior
By
citizens.
coincidence, or did you invite him?
I'm sorry,
Is he here by coincidence, or did you invite him?
we asked him to come. Yes, we asked him to come, and he was very gracious to do that. He's in the back there. Steve, want to raise your hand? Thank you. Kenneth and I are both senior citizens. We may not look it, but he's 77, I'm 75. We're aging in place. We're on a fixed income. We're trying to maintain the integrity of our home. We're looking for something that's going to be more durable, sustainable, low maintenance over a period of time, as well as cost efficient. We're looking to always and to continue to increase the property value of our home, as well as make something aesthetically attractive. And that was the reason why we wanted to go to metal as opposed to the wood, because it would be in the long run more sustainable for us as far as maintenance and all that. And there are some metals on our block as we drove over, as we've been there forever. But if we drive around, we see that there are some metal railings there, and they're senior citizens, and we thought, well, maybe we need to look at another way as we continue to age in place and be more cost efficient, as well as maintain the integrity of our home. And so we're asking for your support as we went to Skingy Bolivar, and they have supported us, and as we have gone to our elected officials, and we've also talked to our neighbors around us, and we seem to have the support. So we're asking for your support for us. If you have any questions of as far as the size and all of that, I don't necessarily have those answers, but I'm sure you can get them from either Steve or myself if we need.
Mr. Lloyd, do you have anything to add?
I'm sorry.
I think she's covered it all. Thank you. Commissioners present? Questions? Virtual commissioners, questions?
I've got one. So where are we in the process with City Hall and permit review of this? Have they passed for safety?
They would be code compliant with the building code, yes.
Because the rails for the stair going down, they look fairly short. Has somebody put a tape to those to see if they're 36 inches?
I don't think they would need actually a permit for those set of steps. There's not enough fall on there, so I think it's just the steps, porch handrail that require an actual building permit for that section.
But the rail would still need to be from 34 to 36.
Are you referring to the one in the terrace, Mike?
Well, you showed two pictures. One was the flat one up on the landing, and then yeah, the rails going down. So
Yeah.
the one on the left there. So
Yeah, the step railing and the railing on the porch are compliant. Again, I don't believe you need a permit though, building permit for the ones in the terrace.
okay, got it. Thank you.
Further questions from virtual commissioners?
Yeah, can I ask so the existing railings that are there that you're going to replace, did you put those in?
Yes, we had those put in.
How long ago did you do that?
How long ago?
Yes, how long ago?
About 20 years ago.
And how much did you get a price to see how much it would cost to replicate what you have versus doing the metal? Was there a price difference, or did you get a quote for replacing exactly what you have?
We did not get a price quote for wood railings because we were looking at something that was going to be more durable over a period of time as we continue to age. So we did not price wood railings. We were looking for something that would take us through the duration of living in that home.
Got it.
And Bob,
Thank you.
is it not true if they had tried to replace what was there previously? And if they had happened to apply for a permit, we would not have been able to approve it?
That is correct. As is, we've not been able to approve that design specifically, but we would work them to modify it a little bit. Yes.
Further questions from commissioners? Okay, hearing none. Alderman Ryan, you got a motion?
I move that we overturn the director's denial in this.
Sure, seconds, discussion, Alderman Ryan?
I think, just based on what I'm seeing here, this is already, if we were going to capture this, we probably should have done it 20 years ago. And I think they've made some valid points here.
Commissioners? Virtual commissioners?
So to clarify, the motion is to overturn the director's denial.
It is.
Thank you.
Someone else in a situation about a retaining wall on a travel path. And in the picture of the street, there were lots of metal handrails on wood porches. I see why they would have thought that that would be allowed. There are many other neighbors that have the same situation. So I don't really have a point here. I just find this tricky.
Are you telegraphing your second no vote?
I just don't know. I find this tricky.
I would agree. It's, yeah, we just had a similar case, but there is one difference. In this case, we have the local neighborhood historic district committee approving this.
That's never been two businesses, because we have the Alderman as well.
There we go. So, on the other end,
And at least by testimony, neighbors.
right.
Well, it also seems like one of the big issues here is the mix of materials, which seems kind of minor, and we are using these materials so that the residents can age in place and stay in their house and have something that doesn't require maintenance, which I certainly can appreciate. So that's a kind of a difference too here.
Commissioners? We have a motion before us. It is to overturn the director's denial. Commissioner Allen, you vote yes or no on that motion?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammaker, you vote yes or no on that motion?
Yes.
Commissioner Colleen, you vote yes or no on that motion?
Yes.
Alderman Ryan, you vote yes or no on your own motion? Yes. Commissioner Richardson, you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Chair abstains on this vote. There are 6 yeses, 1 abstention. The appeal is upheld.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item D. Do you want to take a break?
I'm fine, but if anyone else needs a break, that's okay.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
I'm sweating.
Yeah, apologize for everyone.
It is hot as a lizard.
We could take our jackets off.
We could not. Sir,
You're right. Rules of Johnson.
agenda item D.
Yes, good evening, board members and members of the public. My name is Meg Lusto with the Cultural Resources Office, and I swear to tell the truth. I'd like to enter into the record ordinance 64689 as amended by 64925, Preservation Review District Ordinances 64832 and 66609, the agenda, the PowerPoint, and my presentation. This is an appeal of a denial to demolish the building at 1308 North 7th Street. It is here on the slide. It is in a National Register District, the Sligo Iron Store Company Buildings National Register District, and therefore is covered by the Preservation Review District standards. So we have jurisdiction as well as you. The building is a high merit structure per the definition in Ordinance 64689 and represents a major component of the Sligo complex and the industrial history of St. Louis. According to the assessor's office, the current owner acquired the building in 2012. The owner now wishes to demolish. There have been no permits applied for or issued since the purchase date, and there are no plans for construction on the site, which would remain vacant. We denied the demolition application as the building was determined to be high merit, in sound condition, and the proposed subsequent development would be a vacant lot. The owner has appealed, and we are now here.
I'm sorry, I did not. Did you say merit?
High merit,
I
yes. And if you go to the next slide. So this is the building's location. There on the right, you can see the boundaries of the National Register District, and on the right, you can see the building in context, its proximity to the interstate, and also just south of these vacant lots is the convention center. Next. Just some exterior shots from the northwest. View from downtown looking north. Next. The north elevation. A view of the alley, and the next slide is some details of the alley. Next. The view looking south along North 7th Street. And this is the view looking south to downtown. All of that land is vacant except for one church, I think it's First Grace, and all apparently owned by the same entity. Next. And this is the other non-contributing building in the National Register District looking northeast along 7th. And this buildings on the left are the Cambridge Heights apartments built in 2011. And on the right, catty corner to the site is the Collins Terrace apartment buildings built in 1935. So to the next slide. So again, we use the Preservation Review District standards to review the application. Architectural quality. As a contributing resource to an individual National Register designation, 1308 North 7th is a high merit building under the definition of the ordinance. The second major structure in the complex, it was constructed in 1911 as warehouse space for Sligo's iron and milling supplies. The building follows a tradition of industrial architecture at the turn of the 20th century, monumental in scale yet modestly detailed. The 5-story flat-roofed building is of dark red brick with a shallow, rough-faced stone foundation. The primary 7th Street facade is divided into 6 inset bays by multi-story brick piers. At each story, the building presents tripartite window openings with limestone sills and plain brick spandrels. The windows of the upper story are topped with a shallow spandrel marked by dentils of molded brick. The building terminates in a frieze of dogtooth brickwork below a corbelled brick parapet capped with ceramic tiles. Some alterations have been made to the openings of the first story, and the original multi-light windows have been lost. These changes, however, do not affect the ability of the property to convey its historic character and use, and therefore it retains its significance as a contributing resource to a National Register district. Condition, the building is sound under the definition of the ordinance, and I'll present some slides shortly to illustrate that. Neighborhood effect and reuse potential. The building is one of 3 remaining that comprise the Sligo Iron Store Company Buildings National Register site. There's a 1- and 2-story blonde brick mid-century office building to the north and to the east at 1301 North 6th, a 5-story red brick warehouse with a 2-story portion at its northern edge. The site is across from, again, the Cambridge Heights apartment complex and Collins Terrace. Reuse potential, the building has suffered a partial roof failure at the northeast corner that has caused some interior damage to the floor of the 5th story and the ceiling of the 4th. That said, the building is in remarkably sturdy condition and appears to be a candidate for reuse as a warehouse or adaptive reuse as office, residential, or mixed-use development. We have received no information on economic hardship. And again, the proposed subsequent construction is that would remain a vacant lot. And now I'll go into some of the interior shots. Banjo Kapolis, who is building inspector with the city of St. Louis, who is here and will speak next. He and I, with Mr. Moriarty, who's also here, did a site inspection about 2 weeks ago. So these are photos from that, that visit.
Meg, at any point in your career, were you an auctioneer?
Close. Should I speak more slowly? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Okay, so here on the left, you see a photo of the first floor looking toward North 7th Street. You can see intact columns, intact beams, intact iron. On the right, this gorgeous doorway with the arched opening, the metal sliding door intact. Next. This next series is just from various spots on the interior. I think these are in order of us going up the floors. This is probably the 2nd floor, looking towards 7th Street and looking towards the rear. But again, you can see how solid this building is inside. Next. Maybe the 3rd floor. There is some floor damage here, but that appears to be superficial. I'm not sure how serious it is. It didn't appear to be that serious. And again, all the structural elements in these photos are very solid. Next. Again, looking towards North 7th on the front, and then looking at the side, an interior wall here on the right side. Next. Perhaps the 4th floor, but again, intact, solid, great renovation candidate. Next. There's a little bit more floor damage here on this floor. Next. And then just some other examples on another floor of how solid this building is. Next. There, we did notice 2 spots where the beams were damaged, and they're reflected in both of these slides. Next. And then, as I mentioned, there is an area of localized roof damage. This is a shot from on the 5th floor looking towards the northeast corner of the building. You can see the area here on the left, and then there's a closer up version here on the right. Next. That is the 4th floor. So that roof damage has damaged the 5th floor and also the ceiling of the 4th floor. In that spot, you can see both of these shots reflect that localized area. Next. Next. And then this is the rest of the 4th floor. Okay, so in conclusion, we made these preliminary findings. 1308 North 7th is a high merit building within the Sligo Iron Store Company Buildings National Register District. So that means it's considered under the Preservation Review District Ordinance. It is sound under the definition in Ordinance 64689. The building is located 3 blocks from the America's Central Convention Complex, and there is potential for its reuse. And there is no proposed subsequent construction. The result of the demolition would be a vacant lot. So we ask that you uphold the denial of the demolition.
And would you remind me, what is the definition of sound under the ordinance?
That staff believes that the walls are capable of holding their loads for 6 months or more.
So just to clarify, is it not the visible portions of the exterior walls and roofs appear capable of carrying their loads for 6 months or more?
Thank you, board member. Yes, that is a more complete definition. Yes.
Cool. And so what you just testified to with that full definition, you believe it's a sound structure?
Yes, and Mr. Kapolis, the building inspector, will speak to agree with that and maybe offer a little more technical expertise.
Oh, I have one more. Sorry. One more question. With respect to, you said reuse potential. So I guess you have experience as being the director of the Cultural Resource Office to have witnessed and seen a bunch of similar buildings adaptively reused.
Dozens in my career in New Orleans and a few here, but yes, warehouses are usually very adaptable because they have a lot of open space. There's a lot of reuse options that you wouldn't find in maybe more constricted buildings.
And in similar condition, worse condition?
I've seen buildings in much worse condition than this renovated.
Thank you.
And you did not mention commonly controlled property or accessory structures. Are there no commonly controlled properties?
I'm sorry, there are commonly controlled properties. But that doesn't have any relevance in this, under this consideration.
And accessory structures?
There's no accessory structures being contemplated here.
Would you like that to testify now?
Yes, I would.
But sorry, I got one more. Sorry. Promise. So criteria A was redevelopment plan, and your report says it's not applicable. So there is no redevelopment plan specifically for this building?
There is not one, no.
All right, thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
What is your name?
I'm Banjo Footballer.
Is your testimony going to be the truth?
Just go with it.
Is this building sound?
Yes, it is.
Commissioners, questions? Commissioner Richardson, question?
Just to make sure, sound under the applicable ordinance, under that definition. Sound meaning that the visible portions of the exterior walls and roofs appear to be capable to supporting their loads for the next 6 months.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
I guess I'll just ask, when was the last time you visited the building?
October 2nd,
Remind us how long you've been doing this.
15 to 20 years now.
Question. What is your job title?
I'm a building inspection supervisor and a stabilization specialist.
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much, sir. Let's hear from you, Alex. You have brought several people with you.
We did,
You can share them on in any order that you want.
thank you. I want to make brief statements. So I'll introduce myself and then I'll call up the witnesses. So Joe Dooley, and I swear to tell the truth. I am the attorney for the appellant, the owner of the building. NSR, the building, this particular building, and this particular group of properties is owned in conjunction with Larry Chapman and Clayco Development Corporation. This particular property, unfortunately, does not meet the definition of structurally sound. The building is over 70 feet tall, and it's constructed in such a manner that if there's significant damage to the roof or to any of the load-bearing structures inside of the building, that can cause the building to collapse. And the unfortunate facts of this situation is that a 70-foot tall building, if it collapsed, it could collapse on the adjoining neighbor properties in which people are present. It is a safety risk, and as such, it should come down. The property adjacent to this building, if you go back to the photographs that were entered by Ms. Lewenstein, go back one more, please. Keep going. I'm sorry. I think there's a couple more before that. A little bit more to show the picture of the right there. If you see there the circle is actually on the 5-story building. The building immediately on closest to O'Fallon Street there, that building was destroyed in a fire. That building is in the process of being demolished. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 complete vacant lots. The building next to it is being demolished. And on the far end of the block, there is also a demolished vacant lot. If you'll go forward, I'll show you some of the structural damage that was, if you go back one, you'll see one more. You'll see there that that is what remains of the building that was burnt. That building used to come all the way out to the street. It was a 2-story warehouse. It's completely gone. There's just some steel structure and a portion of an exterior wall that is separated by less than 4 inches from the exterior wall of the building in question. We'll go forward, please. A bit more, please. A little bit more. Right there, stop. So I'm sorry, one more on the inside. If you, the picture on your left there, the column that is halfway back on the left-hand side, do you see the red tape? There's then that opening, that column immediately adjacent to that opening. If you could zoom in on that, which you can't, but the engineers will testify. The bottom portion of that column, essentially from the tape on down, is completely deteriorated. it is offering no support at all to the member that it's on, and each floor on top of that stacks on that column. If you'll go forward, you'll see some deflection. One more. I think it's the next one. And that's on the other side. There's another one that shows it. Go a little further. That column is, that's, okay, this right here shows the collapsed roof. And on a masonry brick walls that are unreinforced, the roof provides the lateral support for the 4 exterior walls. With the roof being seriously compromised by, like it is in this corner and in the other corner, where you can see the gentleman in the yellow vest. There is another portion of the roof that has collapsed there. That roof is not providing the lateral support that's necessary to keep these walls standing. We have submitted to you in our application 2 reports, one from Daniel Sela. He is a he's an engineer. He will testify next. We've also submitted a report from Jim Moriarty. He is an engineer. Mr. Sela will testify regarding the structural soundness of the building. Mr. Moriarty will reaffirm those opinions and also talk about some of the safety concerns with potentially trying to keep this building standing and to do work in the building. That completes my presentation. If anyone has any questions.
You're an attorney, sir?
Yes. Thank
And you represent Northside Regeneration LLC,
you. Yes, sir.
and that is the only owner of this property.
No, this property is only in connection with Larry Chapman and Clayco Development Corporation.
What sentence do you need connection with your joint, both owners? I'm sorry, I don't think
It's sort of like where you have, if you own a house and the property is, you have a mortgage, the Clayco and Larry Chapman own the mortgage on this property. So they have an interest in the property.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dan Sela. I'm a structural engineer from CSE Engineering. I swear to tell the truth. So I was engaged to conduct a structural assessment of this building. The building is a 5-story structure, approximately 70 feet high. Exterior walls are multi-wide brick, load bearing. The lowest level is generally a slab on grade except for southwest corner. Levels 2 through 5 are dimensional or sawn lumber joists that span front to rear with 6 intermediate steel beam lines that span left to right. Roof is of similar construction except the beams are timber beams. Subfloors and the roof consist of lumber sheathing. Interior columns consist of timber posts. Next, please. The exterior facade from the outside, generally it looks like it's in acceptable conditions, a little deceiving. There is some deterioration. Sections of the building need to be repointed, loose brick. Parapet is leaning inward and will likely need to be repaired or relaid. Most of the first floor lintels on the front and rear of the building have significant corrosion and will require repair or replacement. There is a vertical crack on the south side near the front that is visible in the interior and exterior. Next, please. The interior framing overall is in poor condition. There's varying degrees of deterioration, including the floor joists, the subfloor and hardwood flooring. On level 2, between levels 2 and 3, there is a column that has completely failed. There's no capacity left in that column.
Is that the column I pointed out?
That is a column. You can see the line, the dashed line, where you can clearly see the sag from the flooring. That is mirrored in every level above, 3, 4, 5, and the roof. There's numerous holes that are developed in the flooring. Large sections of floor framing are failing from deterioration. It's rotten. Deterioration progressively gets worse as you go higher up in the building. Next slide, please. These are just some pictures showing the deterioration, holes in the floor, hole in the floor next to the freight elevator. Next. The roof framing is the worst. There's widespread deterioration of most joists, subflooring, and some of the timber girders. This is the X section on the north side that has collapsed. The area around it is in jeopardy of collapsing soon. And then there's 2 timber girders that have failed on the south side next, which are shown in this picture. That the roof has failed in these 2 locations. Conclusion of the structural assessment. The building is unsafe for any occupancy, and it poses a life safety risk for anyone that enters the building or is adjacent to the building. On average, 30 to 50% of the floor and roof framing are structural deficient. That is not sound. The floor framing acts as a diaphragm and also braces the exterior walls. The building is at risk of experiencing further partial or full collapse. These conditions are only going to continue over time. The predicting how long the building can remain without further partial or complete collapse is not possible. If we get a heavy snow, it's likely more of that roof is going to collapse over the winter or a strong storm. For structures in jeopardy of collapse, industry standard is to provide a safety perimeter of at least 1.5 times the structure height, where non-essential personnel are not allowed. Next slide, please. This shows the safety perimeter. The 1.0 is generally what they, at worst case, if the building falls outward, and then the 1.5 times the building height is the area where debris could be thrown as the building collapses. As I said, I can't tell you how long this building is going to stand. It is in jeopardy of partial or full collapse as time goes on.
Can I ask a couple of questions to clarify some of this testimony of them? Thank you. Daniel, can you just explain a little bit about what your background is and do you hold any professional license?
Yes, I am licensed in 9 states. I hold a structural engineering license and a professional engineering license. I have been doing this for around 25 years. My area of expertise is generally rehab of buildings and additions.
Second question, the safety perimeter that you have outlined on this slide with the solid line box, are there apartments with occupants in it within that safety perimeter?
Yes, right across the North 7th Street, there are apartments.
And do you have an opinion to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty as to whether or not 1308 North 7th Street is structurally sound?
No, it is not structurally sound.
And can you tell this panel whether or not you are able to state to a reasonable degree of engineering certainty as to whether or not this building will not collapse within the next 6 months?
I cannot.
Mr. Selleck, do you know how long the owners had this building?
I do not know.
And had you seen the building before you were taking a look at it now?
I had not seen it before. I was retained to look at it.
Virtual commissioners, any questions?
I'm curious, has your client talked to you at all about what would need to be done to salvage this building, to shore it up with your structural expertise? Do you see a way of saving this building?
We have not had any discussions on that specifically, just with the level of deterioration from my experience. Generally, these are not safe.
Moriarty?
Yes, you're done.
My name is James Moriarty. I am here to tell the truth. And I think I'm the oldest person in the room. I may have had 3 careers. First of all, I want to thank Meg and her staff for their professionalism over the last couple of months and their forthrightness explaining this whole process. Today, I'm here as the third-party demo guy, but in a past lifetime, I may have saved more buildings like this than any engineer in this town. I was also safety manager on the largest construction project in St. Louis history, the $1.1 billion new runway at Lambert Airport. So,
That's not very tall.
well, a lot of underground work. 60,000 sticks of dynamite to blast the new storm tunnel. Anyway, my crew has been down there preparing the 2-story for demolition. And the slides you saw show the extensive cleanup effort to date, whether it was asbestos or needles, all that sort of thing. We've heard gunfire on a weekly basis inside the complex. We've called the police. They've told us they prefer not to go in there. We decided not to call the SWAT team on a weekly basis. And so basically this facility has a reputation as an unlicensed, unregulated indoor shooting range. And that might not be that big of a problem, except for you have apartment buildings right across the street. I'm gonna.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, well, this is just showing what the safe zone would look like if the 5-story building were demolished. You can go ahead to the next slide. This is the burned out 2-story. And then the next slide is, those are the flames shooting out of the roof of the 2-story in May of this year when it caught on fire, and the fire department is on the news saying very suspicious how quick it spread. But when you go to the next slide, when you look at the dryness of the wood, it's very easy to see how quickly it was spread. So if you have flames 3 feet higher than, 3 times as high as the flames you just saw, and the wind's going in the wrong direction, then the apartment buildings across the street are in jeopardy of catching fire. So
Just so to clarify, Jim, is it your opinion, the reasonable degree of engineering certainty that the condition of the building poses a fire risk to the properties across the street?
yes, and when your third-party structural engineer says 30% to 50% of the building is unsound, to me, that means the entire building is unsound. And that's all I've got.
Virtual commissioners, any questions? First commissioners, questions? Anything to add to that?
Is our building inspector still here? Can I ask him a question?
Yes.
Thank you for returning. Since we just saw the illustration of a recommended safety zone, I'm not an engineer or building safety professional. Is that something coming from city ordinance or?
Well, actually, the building, if it was maintained properly with the way the city ordinance is, it will not go this far for safety. And the structural engineer failed to mention something to the committee about the building. The construction of this building was constructed to be earthquake proof. And then I'm pretty sure if you even Google something right now to check the construction of a building for earthquake, this building is one of them. It's so-called lumber, steel, and concrete that was used to build this building. So the construction and the system it was made is still going to stand in the next 3, 4, 5 years. So the safety concern to this building will be for the owner to secure the buildings. I mean, to secure the windows and the entrance into this building. The fire next door with the 2-story, and actually the brick they used in constructing this is kiln fire. I don't know if you guys check on that. It's kiln fire, so it's really strong. And then the exterior walls is a, what they call it? It's a multi-wide, they call it multi-wide, like multi-layers of bricks for the exterior load-bearing walls. So if there is a fire affecting one side of the building, it's probably 1 or 2 layers. The other 3 or 4 is still in there. I didn't count how many bricks for the exterior load-bearing walls. I can still tell you, from my observation, when I went into that building, it is still safe and sound. We walked through the basement, the 1st floor, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and the 5th floor. There is nothing hanging or dangling or safety risk for us to even walk through the building, for us to assess it. The roof has a hole. If you compare the size of the damage on the roof to the width of the roof, I mean the whole size of the roof, it's nothing that is going to affect this building to collapse.
Thank you.
May I ask a question of?
Yes.
Then I'd just like, based upon that testimony, which was not introduced and not relied upon by the city in denying the permit, I'd like to recall one of the engineers to rebut the testimony. Thank you. Well, but I don't, if you all are finished, that's all.
No, I was asking everybody if they had more testimony to introduce. I don't
Okay.
want you to cross questions.
Okay, so that's fine.
So,
Yeah, well, come on.
thank you.
Dan Sella with CSE Engineering.
Mr. Sella, is the 1308 North 7th Street built compliant with current codes for earthquake?
No, it is not. It's unreinforced masonry. Unreinforced masonry performs very poorly in seismic events.
Number 2, are there hanging structural members throughout that building?
Yes, there is.
Are there, in addition to the roof, could you illustrate the other structural members that were hanging throughout the building?
I did illustrate the other ones that were deteriorated.
Are there holes in the floors on level 2, 3, and 4?
Yes,
When you walked through the building with me a week ago, did you advise that I only walk on the floor on level choices area as opposed to unsupported?
along beam lines, yes,
And why?
because that's the safest location to walk through the building in areas of deterioration.
When you walked through the building, did you advise that you have safety protection?
Yeah, hard hats were,
Ed, anything to add?
Just say that when we visited, we didn't walk along the beam lines, we walked all over the place with the exception of the area where there had been roof damage. And I think, and Joe pointed this out, the building has been maintained. It has been owned according to the assessors since 2012 by the same entity. We couldn't find any evidence of any building permits having been taken out. So the condition is the result of at least 11 years of no work and neglect.
Would like, one final point, I would like to point out that the ordinance in question specifically states that the office, that if a structure or portion thereof proposed to be demolished is obviously not sound, the application for the demolition shall be approved, except in unusual circumstances. The denial of this application cited no unusual circumstances, and there's nothing in the ordinance with regards to demolition and evaluation criteria that talk about either lack or failure to perform any maintenance. We have to take the building in the condition we find it in and base the approval or denial of the permit based upon these standards as it exists. Demolition Preservation Review District demolition evaluation has nothing in there that says what caused or contributed to the fact.
Commissioner Richardson, you got a motion?
I do not.
Oh, sure. I've got a question. Actually, for staff. So. My recollection here. is we've had buildings that come before the board over the years that were indicate the current owners have owned the building for a substantial amount of time and through their ownership, there was significant decay. I recall something to the effect that we have ruled before based on that negligence. But that
Right,
I've been here for 20 years.
I've been here for 2. I would defer to Barb on that, on whether that's something that can be taken into consideration. I merely offered that as a point of information. It's not one of the criteria.
And it wasn't answering my question. How long have they owned the building?
And that was actually a question I was going to ask because there is relevance as to how long the ownership has been served.
Further questions? Commissioner Allen, have you got a motion?
Yes. I move that the Preservation Board uphold the denial of the application to demolish this building. Does not meet the criteria for demolition under ordinance 64832.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, we have somebody waiting to speak. I apologize. We have somebody in the Zoom room.
I've got a motion on the floor.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I guess we can.
I'll rescind my motion temporarily.
Okay, is that second? Okay.
Andrew Wild, do you wish to speak?
I do. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Andrew Weil. I'm the director of the Landmarks Association of St. Louis, and I'm here to tell the truth. May I proceed?
Yes.
So I am here to testify in support of the staff's recommendations. 1308 North 7th Street is a sound, high merit building. It represents 1/3 of the buildings that compose the Sligo Iron Store National Register District. Imagine if a developer came before this board with a request to tear down 1/3 of the buildings that comprise the Central West End Historic District or the Shaw Historic District or Hyde Park. It would never be allowed. Such destruction would have irreparable impacts on the integrity of the district and would not only be antithetical to the spirit of the ordinances our elected officials have put in place to protect architectural heritage, but would likely result in the delisting of the impacted district. And delisting of the Sligo district is a very real possibility if this body allows this demolition. Without National Register status, the other properties would lose their eligibility for historic rehabilitation tax credits, making their eventual adaptive reuse much less likely. As noted in the agenda, no future use for the property has been articulated by the applicant. This is disturbing, but not surprising. At least the applicant is being forthright with regard to its plan to replace this high merit building with a vacant lot. This honestly is refreshing given the applicant's track record. For example, in 2009, the applicant applied and received a massive TIF package to support both. Yes.
On topic, please.
Yes, on topic. The applicant has a very long reputation of demolition by neglect. In 2009, it identified 155 properties, historic properties in North St. Louis that were to be rehabilitated.
Andrew,
Yes.
about this building, please.
This is a pure distilled example of demolition by neglect that the property owner has a long established record of pursuing. It's an expedient way to get rid of an inconvenient building that they have, by their own testimony, improperly secured, causing a. Is there a problem with this?
Yes, please talk about this building.
Okay, this building, by the applicant's own testimony, is a vacant building improperly secured. They have created this problem, and they should be held accountable for this problem. So for that reason, first of all, I support the assessment that I believe the city inspector and I believe the Cultural Resources Office that this building is sound per ordinance, that is a high merit building, and that the Preservation Board should deny the application in accordance with the staff's recommendations.
Andrew, what is your current position?
I'm the Executive Director of the Landmarks Association of St. Louis, and I have 16 years of experience working with historic buildings in St. Louis.
Thank you. Any further testimony, Jan? Okay. Motion again.
All right. I again move that the Preservation Board uphold the denial of the application to demolish this building, because it does not meet the criteria for demolition under the Preservation Review District Ordinance number 64832. For the criteria enumerated here, a redevelopment plan. There are no redevelopment plans for this site. Redevelopment plans, architectural quality is a high merit building. It's part of the National Register listing, a single site. Under C condition, it is sound within the definition of the ordinance. D neighborhood effect and reuse potential. I think there is reuse potential. We've seen many buildings like this come back. Economic hardship, under D, we have not heard anything to that effect. And then on criteria F, proposed subsequent construction, there is no proposed construction here, just a possible vacant lot.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah.
See, almost all of my time there.
Interesting enough, I just put in a proposal for similar and 1225 St. Louis Avenue in similar condition, short of having most of the windows intact, as far as that portion of the roof. Very similar, and the owners are going to be happy, so I can tell you that. So we can get a proposal. Architecture on the building, very simple.
Further discussion? Okay, Commissioners, there's a motion on the floor. It's been made and seconded. I'm going to call a roll. Commissioner Allen, you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammaker, you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Colleen, you vote yes or no? Can't hear you, Mike.
Did you say Colleen? I couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry, yes, Commissioner Colleen.
I heard Hammaker or something. So Colleen, yeah, Colleen votes yes, definitely.
Alderman Ryan, yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, yes or no?
Abstain.
Commissioner Robinson, yes or no?
Yes.
Chair also abstains. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 yes, 5 yeses, 2 abstentions. Motion carries. Now I'm going to call that back.
Oh, yeah.
You are, staff, yeah, did I email you?
Yeah,
I know you're busy.
yeah.
We always do one thing.
Oh, yeah.
So. But actually, on this board, first one.
Yeah.
Oh, they're great fun, yeah. They were fantastic.
Do you have a favorite?
So, yeah. They're there.
Yeah, that's always.
Yeah. They were doing very good.
It's like a. It's like.
Yeah, so no, now I'm not. So.
Did you get to the one?
I did, I woke up on Sunday. They're already out of everything else. I had like the one from Steve. Directly from Stan, whereas.
I feel like most of it was loud and a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. But it's nice and warm. Not quite.
I don't know about that chair.
Yeah.
I don't know. I met my friend Sonny for breakfast this morning and.
I'll make it. Too.
They all have-
I'll mention it. Yep.
Right? Okay. Agenda item E.
Okay, Bob Bettis with staff, still tell the truth. Need to enter in the naming ordinance 64689 as amended by 64923, and then the Central West End ordinance 69423. My PowerPoint presentation, and I'm still telling the truth. Okay, this is the site in question. This is 504 Newstead. It's the corner of Olive and Newstead. It's the northeast corner. Currently vacant. Will be the proposed use on the line will be for a cafe. So this is the site. On to you next. Sorry, no worries. I'm gonna break this machine. Okay, great. This is the site in question. There's some context. It's the very northern boundary of the Central West End Local Historic District. The alley is actually the actual boundary of the northern edge of the district. Some empty lots. This is looking east on Olive. Kind of did a crude little mock-up on the left of where the proposed fence will go. That's what we're going to hear today as a 6-foot fence. That's that looking east next. This is looking south on. It's okay. That's okay. All right. This is looking west on Olive. And to the right is where the fence will be going roughly. Next. It's looking south on Newstead. To the left again is the proposed fence. That alley on the left side is again the northern edge of the district. Go ahead. And it's looking north on Newstead towards the outer edges of the district. Okay. This is the proposed site plan. The proposal calls for constructing a 6-foot fence on the Olive Street side and the Newstead side. On the alley side and the west side is a existing 6-foot chain link fence that will remain in place. So this is only for the 2 fence runs on Olive and North Newstead. Next. This is the proposal. It's a mix of concrete block, metal wire, some wood posts, and then some bamboo would fill in the spaces where the metal wire would go across. It's 6 foot high. The standards for fencing in the Central West End for commercial buildings, states has to be stone, brick, wood, wrought iron, evergreen, or deciduous hedge. We're saying that the concrete block and the metal wire are non-compliant components of the fence. Wood and the bamboo would comply technically. So we're saying material-wise, it's the concrete block and the metal wires. Next. The proposal also features several murals, which we do not believe that the current code contemplates. We're not going to make any comment on that, and it's really not up for review at this point in time. Next. The standards also say, in terms of placement, it says that you shall not have an opaque fence in front of the building line. And there's a caveat in the code that says there are exceptions for corner properties. However, we feel that there are other options that are available, that they could do a fence that has some opacity to it, a little more see-through to it. So we believe that the location is also non-compliant per the code. So given the materials, the location, staff recommends that the board uphold the director's denial for the proposal. To date, has anybody popped in yet? Anybody? Okay, so to date, we have not heard an official statement from Central West End. I did talk to Mr. Dwyer. His group was still kind of in the process of getting a formal statement together, but to date, we have not received anything. So we have really no comment from the neighborhood group right now. So any questions? Happy to answer.
And you're saying this is a fence?
You're saying it's a fence. It's applied for as a 6-foot fence. And it just so I will say to that point, it was reviewed by zoning as a fence, and it does meet zoning code, and it's being reviewed by the building division as that as well. Waiting for this decision before they finish up their review. They had some questions about footings for stuff, but that's been addressed by the architect. But overall, it's been deemed compliant by zoning, at least for a fence.
questions?
And Bob, are you saying we will eventually have to review the mural?
No, we don't think so at all. Again, it's a nice visualization what they want to do with the site eventually, but the only kind of tie that would be like, you know, unpainted masonry, which we're not going to consider this.
So, Bob, Mike here. It's been my experience that when the Central West End does not rule on things, they truly are neutral. Are you getting that read from them?
I don't want to speak for him, Mike, but I know I get the sense that there hasn't been any big outcry on it because Mr. Dwyer would be upfront if he did have a lot of pushback on it. At the time I spoke with him on the phone, he said that there was comments on the murals, but really nothing in regards to the design or placement. So I don't want to speak for them, but I get the impression there was no massive pushback from his committee at that time.
Yeah, and it seems like they don't really miss a beat over there. If they were against us, they would let us know. Don't you think? I guess.
Well, I don't want. I think I would be remiss to say that. You know, again, I don't have formal comment on that, Mike. So I don't want to say too much and then have them come back and say, hey, we just didn't get a letter to you in time. But I did not get the impression from our conversation that there was pushback or any kind of formal comment as yet. So I know what you're getting at. I just don't want to be committal to that, you know?
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Further questions? Okay, let's hear from you now, please.
My name is Max Bunberg. Tell the truth.
That's good. Tell me.
Sorry.
Tell your friends.
That's
What do
right.
you want us to do?
So we're here this evening to apply for a variance to allow the construction of this fence at 504 North Newstead. The owner of this property is Joseph Jackson of Jackson Pianos, which has had their office where they restore office and workshop where they restore old and historic pianos down the street on Olive for a number of years now. And they recently purchased this old Standard Oil gas station and are planning, as Bob said, to turn that into a cafe space, but also a space where pianos will be on display. People can play them, or people can come and buy them if there's a need to kind of perform with that piano. And so, with that being said, there'll be a lot of activity and also some kind of expensive and rare pianos in this space eventually. And so, as Bob also said, the fence line along the alley and to the east with the assisted living home, I believe that is to the east of the property, that's the 6-foot high chain link fence. But the owner is concerned over safety and having safety not just from access after hours, but also since he's been on this property for a number of years, he's kind of witnessed a lot of cars that cut through this property where people are driving either down Olive or down Newstead and kind of cut diagonally across the property. And there's a kind of concern for safety of pedestrians as well in that space. And so that's where the desire for something a little bit more substantial than a wood fence or even something like a more decorative fence, but trying to find a way to provide both safety, but also provide a unique space as well that provides some unique character, which also goes along with the mission of restoration and restoring these old pianos. We want to kind of use repurposed materials, so that's where we're using these reclaimed concrete blocks, which are oftentimes used for retaining or kind of industrial purposes, use those in a way that provides that safety from cars, but not have them blocked up one against the other, but provide a gap between them so that something like bamboo can grow that will also give some lushness and some softness to that boundary. And then, as Bob said, these murals are schematic. These are just showing portraits of Scott Joplin or other piano sheet music and things like that to provide some other local character and tie that connection in with the history of music in St. Louis. So yeah, again, this is our solution to find that balance between safety, reused materials, and also provide a bit of a lush and unique boundary there.
Questions?
So are you the architect for the renovation of the historic gas station.
Yes.
Will that renovation adhere to the Central West End standards?
Yes, I mean, in terms of exterior alterations, they're primarily just going to be painting. We're not really doing any additions or new work there, but it would, in that instance. And that building permit has also been submitted and is under review right now.
Further questions? Questions from the virtual commissioners?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioners, that concludes our testimony on this matter. Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I move that the Preservation Board overturn the director's denial and allow the proposed fence.
That's it.
I would only say that since they haven't actually chosen what figures to portray on this fence itself, there's a panel right down here of representative faces that would look really good. Or perhaps the smiling faces behind you.
Yeah, we got some extras. I think we got a nice good number there, so we can get a nice variety.
And you're going to ask neighbors in the community what should go there.
Yeah, there's been several community outreach events at the space already, both as fundraising events, but also just to kind of engage the community.
Mr. Dwyer is also very handsome.
You said it. I mean,
Maybe at various stages of his career.
sure.
Dwyer
We
is
might want to commemorate the only Central West End project in the last 20 years that is not opined on.
That's funny and also not part of the permanent record. Commissioners, there's a motion on the floor. It's been made and seconded. I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Allen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammer, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Colleen, do you vote yes or no? Commissioner Colleen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Alderman Ryan, do you vote yes or no?
Abstain.
Commissioner Richardson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Chair also abstains. There's 5 yeses, 2 abstentions. The appeal is upheld.
Thank you.
Is the held for agenda item past present?
They are online. This is a pretty straightforward one, but they are online if you talk to them. It's a pretty straightforward one, but they are here. Bob Betts with staff, tell the truth again. Enter in the enabling ordinance 64689, as amended by 64923. And then the Benton Park ordinance 67175. This is an old favorite, another horizontal fence in Benton Park. We've reviewed many of these. Unfortunately, their current code does not allow for horizontal fences. Before I even get into this, you already have a letter of support from the neighborhood. They are going to be amending their codes in the future, and they will be including the horizontal fences in that revised set of standards. So just want to put that out there. It's in your back of your head while we go through this quickly. It's the property 2719 Missouri. It's in Benton Park. The proposal is to install a 6-foot horizontal fence on the south side that runs along the alley. This is the location. Next. This is the design. We've actually approved this before in a few different spots within the neighborhood. So a standard 6-foot. That would be great. Hey.
What is your motion?
That the Preservation Board overturn the director's denial. For the horizontal fence.
Is there any discussion? I'm going to call the roll. Commissioner Allen, you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammer, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Colleen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Ryan, yes or no? Commissioner Richardson, yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, yes or no?
Yes.
Chair abstains on this vote. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yeses, 1 abstention. The appeal is upheld.
Thank you.
Yep. on agenda item G.
And I'll save the best for last in my opinion. It's a great project coming up. However, not to taint the well. Okay, so 3000 Selena, oh, first, sorry, the usual spiel. Must enter in naming ordinance 64689 as amended by 64923, the Benton Park ordinance 67175, my presentation and my PowerPoint. The proposal is at 3000 Selena in Benton Park. This is the project. The proposal is to replace this 2-story open porch with a 2-story enclosed porch. The issue in Benton Park is that since this faces a street, this side of the building is determined to be a public facade. And go on, so we'll go through the context real quickly. Corner of Crittenden and Selena, the porch itself faces Crittenden. Next. This is some context looking east towards the brewery. And on the right is the porch itself. And sorry, this is all, it's fine, it's great. It's great, fast. So you're looking east towards the brewery, the porch at the right. The left is a enclosed porch that was done. It's not a original porch, so it's there. We acknowledge it's there, but it's not a historic porch. Go on. It's looking west on Crittenden. So again, it's a great little area. Yes. So as you can see, the current porch is in pretty rough shape, and they want to actually use it again someday. So the proposal is to remove this and construct a 2-story enclosed porch. Go on. Some quick, cool history. The original porch back there was a 1-story porch. Then we found on the right side from the Awesome Lemon collection, we found this single-story enclosed porch, and it was probably modified, but still, from 1931, showing an enclosed porch, 1-story at the location. Go on. And so on the right is what's there now. The proposal, I would say, I'd like to say that the owner and the architect have worked this really well to come up with this design. Even though we cannot approve it because of its location, they have been very receptive to input from our office to make this compatible with the district. And also Benton Park has also had their 2 cents too, and have done a wonderful job to try and get something that we feel is compatible with the building itself, the streetscape, and the neighborhood as a whole. So go on. Sure.
Has there been neighborhood reaction to this?
Yeah, we've had some few letters that you should have gotten in your packet from the neighbors. They're supportive of it. The neighborhood itself is supportive of this as well. And also from the alderperson, who's also in support of the project as well.
Okay, proceed with your testimony, Commissioner Secretary.
Can I have one thing to that? If you do, please state that we'll work with staff on final details and materials, because there's a few things that they've agreed to do that are on the plans they've submitted that we want to make sure that they include in their final drawings.
Question for Bob.
Yes, sir, Mike.
What's the model example they're basing this on?
There isn't one. That's the whole thing. So we, in this location that faces the street with what they want to do, you're just not going to find a historic example for an enclosed porch. We've done some digging around. We found a couple that are in the rear. They're kind of a mix of masonry and windows and panels that we've kind of incorporated into this design. So an actual perfect example we really could not find. So that was all.
They've gone with the sleeping porch look here. I mean, there's nothing like that double-decker in the city that we can find?
Again, I drove way too many streets. We did a lot of research online. You would be surprised to find this exact proposal that meets the criteria of a model example of 75 years. So, and the problem is also, it's an odd way the house is situated with the L facing the street directly. Oftentimes they come off the rear of the property, but not have this kind of configuration, Mike. So it was really hard to find that example that would fit perfectly.
So what type of adjustments would you make at a staff level? Like I look at that roof up there and I'm just thinking that doesn't belong on that house. Maybe the flat roof would belong there?
We actually did initially propose a flat roof, or at least a shed roof, I should say. Really a shed roof is more appropriate, but they've opted to go with this design. We don't think it stands out too much. The house itself has a hip. So, I mean, overall the roof could, be a little bit different, but we don't think it really stands out in a manner that detracts overall from the streetscape. We have asked that, if you see on this elevation right here, actually, we've asked that the door be raised so the transoms all align. We want to make sure that they do a Soulard rail on there. It's denoted on there, but the drawing is not a Soulard rail. We want to make sure that the transoms themselves are in a frame, because as submitted, it's kind of a piece of glass with some trim work. So we're asking for,
I think those are good ideas. I also think that painted recessed panel should be a painted beadboard. That would make it look.
we did mention doing a car siding too. We did also mention that as well as one of the options. So you know, we did kind of go back and forth with the architect, and he's been really receptive, and so the owner. So we felt, you know, both could work. They've opted to go with the panel version.
Are we going to be talking to them about that non-historic railing they've got going down there?
Like I said, it says Soulard rail on there, and we'll make sure that that detail is on the final approved plans to an actual Soulard rail.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Yep.
Commissioner Gilbert? Sorry, Commissioner Havner?
Move that the preservation board overturn the denial and approve the construction of a two-story enclosed side porch as public facade. Event park local historic district, and the applicants will work with staff on final details for approval.
Discussion? Hearing none, I'm gonna call a roll.
Who seconded? I'm sorry.
Commissioner Allen, you vote yes or no?
Aye.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Khalid, yes or no?
Yes.
Alderman Ryan, yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, yes or no?
Yes.
Chair abstains on this. There are 6 yeses, 1 abstention. The appeal is next 2 meetings, when?
Let's see, the November meeting will be, November 20th. And then the December meeting will be December 18th. That's obviously to avoid conflicts with holidays.
Okay, Commissioners, those are the 2 dates for our next 2 meetings. If at all possible, please try to be here in person. This technology thing is excruciatingly hard on staff. And so if you can be here, please do. Where motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Objection, hearing no objection, we stand adjourned.
Thank you, staff. Great job.
Thank you.